Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello? Tá bem. Okay. Okay, so first of all, thank you to join us this afternoon to know a little bit more about Mamaland. Just before start, I want to say some words in Portuguese because I'm Portuguese and I'm in Portugal Pavilion. So if you don't mind. Senhoras e senhores, muito obrigado por estarem aqui presentes. Para mim hoje é uma enorme honra estar no Pavilhão de Portugal a poder apresentar um projeto de uma empresa portuguesa realizado em África e que contribuirá para o combate às alterações climáticas de uma forma muito expressiva devido à escala e à ambição que este projeto tem. Quero dar as boas-vindas ao Sr. Ministro do Ambiente e das Alterações Climáticas do Malawi, Honorable Lucy, assim como ao parceiro local que nós temos e que irá desenvolver connosco este projeto no Malawi, o Dr. Gibson, da Press Trust, o Fundo Soberano do Malawi. Depois dos agradecimentos, resta-me apenas começar a fazer a apresentação e espero que gostem do trabalho que nos propomos a realizar. Muito obrigado. So, today we are here to present More Malawi Mountain Recovery System, and this project is a project sponsored by a Portuguese company, Mota Angel, which have many operations in different parts of the world, and this company was founded more than 75 years ago in Africa. So for that reason, we have a special relation with the continent, especially with countries like Malawi, where our activity have several decades. Mamaland Martingale decided to create Mamaland because Mamaland represents a new approach, more inclusive, more ambitious, like I said before, to generate prosperity for the planet and the people. The idea here is to preserve the natural capital and in the same way share fairly the value created with the local communities and the local governments. About the challenges we identified before start the project, I want to mention the commitment of Motengil to develop their projects in a sustainable way. But we know building and construction sector contributing to nearly 40% of the global carbon emissions, direct or indirectly. So for that reason, and respect this new global consensus, that our world must not only become net zero, but also nature positive, we decide to restore more land and sequestrate more carbon than that one we emit with our activities. So our intention is to abandon the current business as usual, where we just emit carbon, and we start a more balanced future where we can sequestrate the carbon we emit, investing in projects like Mamaland, where we use the reforestation to make the restoration of forests. We use the reforestation to give new opportunities for the local communities, and at all, we use reforestation to balance our emissions and contribute for the global challenges we have. To make that, we have three different approaches. We have forest conservation, which basically will be useful to avoid new emissions. We have reforestation, where we will create new forests in the places where already have forests in the past, and we will convert land with a new use of forests. This is strictly related with the areas which was deforested or was used for agriculture in a very intensive way and now is not able to produce food anymore. So here you have a briefly description of the three concepts, and in Malawi we will apply these three concepts in different areas. Here I can show you a diagram about what is the size of our challenge. So Motengil annually have emissions reported by around 1.8 million tons per year, and we already have some experiences, namely in Angola, where in a pilot project with 15,000 hectares, we start to make this work. But this, as Portuguese Pavilion mentioned, is it enough? No. So we decide to scale up and to find new challenges, and that was the reason because we negotiate with the Malawian government the conditions and try to make feasible a project with a big ambition and with a big scale like that one I'm presenting right now. So basically will be an area of 350,000 hectares across the country. And right now, we already are working in the two first phases. Identify and measure deforested land in Malawi, and in the second phase, which is the carbon storage assessment and the beginning of the certification process with international entities. But we are hungry because we want to go to the ground soon as possible. So for the next year, we will start to make some of the developments in Malawi, because for a forest conservation and we need some infrastructures related with the visibility and the education for sustainability we need to make with the populations in Malawi. The people needs to understand the potential of the forests and why it's better to keep it safe and don't use that to produce charcoal and then to produce energies. But it's quite easy when you show show a way or a path and you don't give an alternative solution. So right now we are working with some consultants and some partners to try to bring to Malawi alternative sources of energy to solve this issue. And finally, it's our intention to implement an agroforestry project to CO2 sequestration, because forest is not enough. We need to produce food, because the major causes of deforestation in Malawi nowadays is strictly related with deforestation to produce energy and to produce food. But we can choose the way we will produce food. So, since the beginning, we will explore ways to make a responsible consumption of the natural resources. Here you can see the consumption of the water and the waste of food annually happen in the world. We need to be more efficient in this way if we want to keep the value we produce. About local challenges, as I mentioned, deforestation is probably one of the biggest challenges in Malawi nowadays. Malawi suffers because, as part of a global system, they have food inflation crisis related with a very poor rate of the currency. And just to give you an example, in the last months, Malawi kwache lose 45% of their value. So in this way, it's very difficult to have forex to import the goods which is necessary for a sustainable development. The other thing is the climate shocks. When I arrived in Malawi 1 year ago, and Honorable Minister, do you remember that? I was very, very concerned about the conditions of the people, about the floods, because when you don't have forests to protect you and to stop the speed of the water when rains a lot, the first one which suffer is that ones which have less to protect. So to try to solve that is our intention to create massive jobs in Malawi, because we need all Malawians on board to make this project a success. Forest, as I mentioned, can protect the communities against the floods. Because this could make a reduction of the soil erosion, keeping the soil in the right places, can increase the water absorption, because it's not just the soil which absorbs water, the plants and the trees already done. And to slowing down the water flow, which is when in the mountain rains a lot, you need natural barriers to stop that water or to reduce the speed of that water. But the impact of an agroforestry approach influence the local communities and their life conditions, because this will providing food and income, and will be one of the reasons because these communities for the first time will be in a position where they can decide if they need to continue to deforestate to expand the agriculture areas, or if they want to work in a more harmonious way, where in the same way we can have trees and we can have some food crops. The biomass, when go to the soil, improving the soil quality and reduce the amount of fertilizers needed every year to have good yields of production. In the same way, the biodiversity will be stimulated, and animals which don't have an habitat nowadays will return for sure. We have several examples from Brazil and from other areas where the power of reforestation create new streams of water and bring the animals to that areas again. And more important, so last but not least, the mitigation of climate change, because forests is one of the best ways to sink carbon and to keep carbon outside of the atmosphere. When the photosynthesis happens, the trees have the capacity to transform carbon dioxide in biomass. And this is a global gain, not just for Malawi, but for the international community. I already talked about the deforestation problem. And sometimes it's easy to say deforestation is a wrong thing. But when you don't have an alternative, this is the only thing. And this is one of the things we want to change with our project. Then it's important to talk about the complexity of this kind of projects. We are not in work in a linear way. We are working inside a system, a complex system with different dimensions, and people, prosperity, and planet needs to be taken in account when we make decisions. So, in these three vectors, we decide to choose 4 main activities to develop in Malawi. Related with the people, as I mentioned, we will create jobs. We will support the subsistence agriculture in the fields. We will try to create with partnerships and by biomass generated by the project, give access to alternative sources of energy. And at the end, the access to the clean water, because we need water for our projects, so we can distribute that with the local communities too. About the economic dimension of the project, this will create an economic development. When some economic activity happen, around them starts to new businesses, small entrepreneurial projects, and we will try to support them to grow. We will increase the forex reserves, because one of the species we will choose as a cash crop or a material will be for exportation. And this is important because Malawi needs forex reserves to attend the demands of fuel and other goods they need to buy using dollars or euros. This will change the perception of the global markets. So the access to lower loans interest will happen naturally and will contribute to build a new global reputation for ourselves as a company and for the country itself. And about the planet and the environmental dimension of the project, as I mentioned, we will stimulate the biodiversity, we'll propose land restoration activities, which result in carbon sequestration, and we will try to save the natural capital of Malawi, which already exists. We try to design the project in a perfect alignment between what is our intentions, what is the Sustainable Development Goals by United Nations, and more important, what is the NDCs of Malawi. So here I can show you 12 points which we will attend in our project. Rural employment generation, enhanced food security, renewable energy access, enhanced support to subsistence agriculture, sustainable economic development, foreign exchange reserve enhancement, access to affordable financing, recognition and reputation, biodiversity conservation, land restoration, carbon sequestration, and the preservation of natural capital. These will be the rules we will never break, the goals we will pursue every day and which we consider in any decision we take. So, more about the project. I want to refer, this project represents a visionary and very ambitious vision we have for Malawi. This is not a challenge for a company, but is a global challenge. And Malawi will make part of it, and the contribution of NGOs, the contribution of public entities, and the contribution of other private entities will be extremely important to achieve our goals. We divide the project in 3 main phases. So in the first phase, which we already are working, we will make efforts to educate for sustainability, speak globally and make happen locally. Try to have in the same picture not just the action, but the perception about the action, because for the people, it's more important sometimes to have the perception of and the value of one action than the action itself. The second part is related with create the alternative sources of food, energy, as I mentioned, but in the same way, make the assessment and continue research around the species and the other subjects related with the project we will develop. And last one, this is the operative part of our project. Here will be the place where we will work every day to try to solve our challenges and try to give answers to the previous clusters. And we divide this in a diagram where we have the agriculture part and the forestry part of the project, and the main products we want to sell for the global markets. Carbon credits to help offset the emissions of international companies and governments, and in agriculture side, cash crops for exportation and create forex, and products and subproducts to feed the local populations and give them food security for a sustainable development. And here I can show you some of the land we already identified and which is part of the contract we established with the Malawian government. There is 5 forest reserves distributed between the north and the central areas of Malawi. And the total area of this is, as I mentioned, 350,000 hectares, more or less. And here I will show you the dimension of the 3 bigger ones. South Vipia Forest, 150,000 hectares. 75,000 hectares in Duambazi Forest, which is continuous to South Vipia, so we will consolidate around 220,000 hectares. And here, sorry, because the name is not right, this is the new one, the new challenge we received in the last 2 months, which is Zalanyama, around 1,000 hectares. And just close to the end, just to explain that all systems begin from a purpose. All purposes are aligned with the roots of the mission to eliminate or try to or live in trying the 3 major reasons for unsustainability, namely overproduction, overtrading, and overconsumption. And just when we taking in account these different dimensions related with the people, the planet, and the economic side, we can be able to have a sustainable future. Thank you very much. Now, I invite Honorable Usi and Mr. Gibson to join me to the table. But before that, I will ask Honorable Usi to make a speech or or give us some words about your perception about the project and about the challenges we have to solve. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. From the Malawi government, it's just to say we are focusing on reclaiming the areas which have been laid bare because of the wanton cutting down of trees. Coming specifically to the program, I guess the technocrats, when they sit to tweak and see how we move, it's going to be on their lap. But as government, we are very much interested in making things happen. This program is very, very critical to Malawi government because it's going to help our climate change issues. This is one of the pathways. And I'm happy to say that the Malawi government team and Mamaland have been working together to make sure that everything that has been discussed transparently has happened. So it's to wish Mamaland all the best, wish Malawi government all the best, that at the end of the day, the Malawian people should benefit. We know you are in business, but as government, we are focusing on our people. What are they benefiting? And I hope and pray that everything will go the way we are expecting. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Now we will open a space to questions, and I will be the first one because I'm the host. I'm in the Portuguese pavilion, so today I'm a little bit at home. I spend a lot of time abroad, so it's an honor for me to have Honorable Lucy Gibson, the Malawian people, with the Portuguese people together in an event so important like COP28 will be for the humanity and for the world. And I just want to introduce Gibson, which is the CEO of Press Trust, a public trust in Malawi. So he have both sides. He is a public entity, but in the same way he understands the business side. And for us, when we arrived in Malawi, as I explained before, was very important to find good partners to work with us. So we invite press and we sign a memorandum to work together and to join efforts to make these projects happen and to try different projects in Malawi and which I believe will be put in practice very soon. So, but my first question is for Honorable Usi. As Mamaland, when Mamaland arrived to Malawi, we discussed a lot matters related with the lacks of funding and the lacks of resources to give answer to these challenges. In your opinion, which will be the best outputs which comes from this COP, namely related with the subjects, more focus in the African development and access to a fair finance conditions?
Well, for me, I think I'll respond from the development perspective. You have a theoretical perspective, you have a practical perspective, and then you have the target audience, who are the Malawians. As we say, talking we should talk, but implementation we must. So what I would want to see from COP28 is that all what we are saying comes to fruition. Because whatever we say here, Malawians are listening. And if we just say and things don't happen, then we are in trouble. So whatever we have agreed, looking at deforestation as a problem, just like Michiru is under attack. And in our discussion, we found it fit that Michiru should be part of the program. So what we would want to see is that Malawi is no more worried about protecting Michiru, for example, even in Zalanyama. We do know that charcoal production is a necessity because there is lack of sufficient provision of energy, so they rely on charcoal. So together, Mamaland and the Ministry of Natural Resources working together to make sure that this pathway is a pathway that everybody understands, there's transparency, and everybody is happy. So it should be a partnership that has got meaning. Malawi government should support Mamaland, and Mamaland should do their job as business entity. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So next question, my second question, will be for you, Gibson. And for me, will be important to listening from your perspective, how Mamaland will create, what will be the advantages for a public trust to join with a private company to make business in your own country? Because normally the people don't look these public-private partnerships as the most natural solution when the investment is bring from the private part. Normally it's the opposite, is a concession where the funds are public and the funds are not private. So I want to know your perspective about the potential opportunities which the visibility of have an international partner could bring to this project.
No, thank you very much, Louise, and indeed thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for being here, and indeed colleagues from government. For us as Press Trust, our mandate is very simple, is to help in uplifting the lives of Malawians. That's our main mandate. Yes, we've got investments in the private sector, but if you look at the model, all what we make in the private sector ends up helping the people. The issues you've talked about, providing potable water, providing better education, providing schools. So for us, I think this project gives us a second source of capital for us to participate on behalf of Malawians. Because you are saying, yes, it's private sector, but for us, even the profit that we might make from this project will still go back to the people. So therefore, our role in the memorandum that we signed is to make sure that apart from the jobs that this project will create, apart from the forex that it will generate as we invest and indeed as we export the products, or indeed as we trade the carbon, is to make sure that even at the end of the day, whatever comes to the trust remains public funds, because whatever the trust has is public funds. So whatever we can achieve together, it will surely, we will make sure that it goes back to uplifting the lives of Malawians. And for us, we would want the project to start as soon as yesterday, to start creating employment. Our people, as you know, you've talked about the devastating cyclones, the losses that people have suffered, the damage to infrastructure in the country. We need to give people a starting point. And we believe that bigger projects like this are the source of the solutions for our people.
Thank you, Gibson. So now I can give you the opportunity for questions from the audience. There is any question? Yeah.
Thank you very much. You referred that the people need the wood for cooking. So they will keep going needing something for cook. Do you ever think on the solar cooking systems? Because there are lots of sun in Malawi, I think.
Okay, I will answer this quickly. So, yes, you're right. Sun is one of the sources of energy, and we can use the sun in the different ways to produce energy, and this energy could be electricity or could be thermal energy or heat to cook. So yes, it's part of our strategy. The other part is the kind of species we can implement during a mitigation period, because switch off is not a possibility, unfortunately, for Malawi. We can make smart decisions in this way, so species which grow fast and using, for example, not the tree itself, but material from the pruning or material which comes to the ground, we can use the biomass to produce biofuel and biocharcoal. And this can have two effects. One is for energy, and the other one is to be incorporated in the soils and grow the yields of the crops.
Thank you very much for your good presentation. You've mentioned quite a number of, I think, benefits that the country would be able to gain from the project. And I just wanted to, you're starting from economic development, soil conservation, water. I wanted to find out in terms of the figures, like what type of population will be able to benefit from this?
I could not hear very well, but it's about what kind of population?
What's the proportion of the financial that Malawi takes?
You are talking about the proportion of the Malawi will benefit. Okay. So, yes. So, directly and indirectly. So directly is part of our agreement to share the profits of each product, which direct or indirect is related with the project, is part of our agreement, is one part. The second part will be the payment of taxes, which the values we are talking about will be a huge amount during the years. The third part will be the part related with the public trust, which we know where will be invest, because the mission gives and have is very clear, is to invest in the Malawian infrastructures. And I think the fourth and the most important will be the creation of jobs, because we need a lot of people to work in this project. And the big size of the money will be for job creations. Because sometimes when I talk about the scale of this project, and the people of course have doubts because it's ambitious, my question is easy. You already met a Malawian. Malawians is one of the most resilient people in the world. They produce maize, to give you an example, in places where the inclination of the field is so heavy, which probably in other parts of the world is not considered an available land to produce food. Malawians have a lot of challenges, as I mentioned, related with the environmental crisis, and they always keep going and don't lose the hope in a better future. So I truly believe in Malawians, and that is one of the reasons, because job creations will be the straight way to give economic benefits to the Malawian people. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so we don't have more time. So one more time, thank you to be present here and to listening our thoughts. Thank you to Honorable Lucy to attend this event. I'm very happy to have you here with us. And thank you, Gibson, to join us at COP28 too. And again, thank you to Portuguese Pavilion to host us, because it was a very, very special moment for me. Thank you very much.